Final roll call vote.
Roll call. Ms. Astrop,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Kane,
Present.
Chair Conwell.
Aye. Next is certification of closed meeting resolution 23-19 stating that all items discussed were listed in our closed session.
I move that we approve resolution 23-19.
Second.
Motion has been made, properly second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and a roll call vote.
Ms. Astrop, Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Kane,
Aye.
Chair Conwell.
Aye. Please stand and join me for the pledge of allegiance followed by the invocation. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we're grateful and thankful for the opportunity to come together. We pray, Lord, Jesus, that every mind and every heart is open, that we can be about the county's business, Lord Jesus. We here as servants want to make sure that what we do the best we can for the county of Greensville. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Next is approval of the agenda, but we want to amend the agenda.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Item 15C, Resolution 2329, Operation Green Light. If you would move that after the consent agenda and prior to the public hearing.
I move that we approve agenda as amended.
Second.
The motion has been made, properly second. All those in favor signify by a roll call vote.
Ms. Astrop,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Kane,
Aye.
Chair Conwell.
Aye. Next is approval of the consent agenda consisting of minutes from the regular meeting October 3rd and a joint meeting from October 27th, budgetary matters, and warrants.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion has been made, properly second. All those in favor signify by a roll call vote.
Ms. Astrop, Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Kane,
Aye.
Chair Conwell.
Aye. Next is resolution 23-29. I'd like to ask that any veterans in the building, please stand. And I'd like to read this resolution. Whereas the residents of Greensville County have great respect, admiration, and utmost gratitude for all the men and women who have selflessly served our country and this community in the armed forces. Whereas the contributions and sacrifices of the men and women who served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and way of life enjoyed by our citizens. Whereas Greensville County seeks to honor these individuals who have paid the high price for freedom of placing themselves in harm's way, good of all. Whereas veterans continue to serve our community in the American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, religious groups, civil service, and by functioning as county veteran service officers in 29 states to help fellow former service members access more than $52 billion in federal health, disability, and compensation benefits each year. Whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually. Whereas an estimated 20% increase of service members will transition to civilian life in the near future. And whereas studies indicate that 44 to 72% of service members experience high levels of stress during transition from military to civilian life. And whereas active military service members transitioning from military service are at a high risk of suicide during their first year after military service. Whereas the National Association of Counties encourages all counties, parishes, and boroughs to recognize Operation Green Light for veterans. Whereas the County of Greensville appreciates the sacrifice of our United States military personnel and believes specific recognition should be granted. Therefore, be it resolved, designation as a green light for veterans, the Greensville County Board of Supervisors hereby declares from October through Veterans Day, November 11, 2022, the time to salute and honor the service and sacrifice of our men and women in uniform transitioning to active service And be it further resolved that in observance of Operation Greenlight, the Greensville County Board of Supervisors encourages its citizens in patriotic tradition to recognize the importance of honoring all those who have made immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying a green light in the window of their place of business or residence. And we need a motion to adopt this resolution.
Ms. Astrop? I move that we approve resolution 23-29.
Second.
Motion's been made, properly second. All those in favor signify by roll call vote.
Ms. Astrop?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Kane? Chair Conwell?
Aye. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank all of you here for your service to our country.
And the green lights have already been displayed on our building.
Yes.
And I also like to thank each and every person for their service. My brother served in Vietnam and welcome to Kansas. And I know it's not easy. Thank y'all again for serving. That's it.
Next, we need a motion to go into a public hearing for a zoning matter.
So moved.
Second. Motion's been made, second. All those in favor signify by roll call vote.
Ms. Astrop? Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Kane? Chair Conwell?
Aye.
Good evening. The applicant tonight is Ms. Amanda Wolf. She's applied for a special events permit to hold two types of special events on her property. One will be a, one will be a haunted Halloween that will take place during October, and one will be a winter wonderland that should like to take place during December. The property is identified as Greensville County Tax Map 4547B. It's 12.5 acres in size. It's located in the Zion Election District. It's on A1 agricultural. When we look at the existing uses on the property, it's residential and forestal. When we look at the adjacent parcels, it is A1 agricultural and forestal properties. The zoning ordinance allows by special event by special use permit. Special events cannot exceed 4 calendar days within 1 calendar year per event. Being that these events typically not a daily activity, they are not likely to produce significant burdens on the community. Still, these events can produce some impacts that are potentially detrimental to surrounding properties. That's why we require a special use permit where we can apply conditions to the permits to limit those nuisances to surrounding properties. At the public hearing for the planning commission, we had several members of the family that came and spoke out against the permit. They were concerned about event goers getting off of the subject property onto their property, and they were concerned about the road conditions. We also received a letter from the adjacent landowner that was concerned that the special event might interfere with people that own her property, the group she leases her property to. The applicant will have to install a driveway on her property to allow event goers to come and go and to park on her property. VDOT has indicated that they will need to get a land use permit for the installation of the driveway. Also need a special event permit from VDOT prior to having each event, and then VDOT gets some information from us concerning the event to ensure that the applicant is operating in accordance with the county's zoning ordinance. The planning commission on a 5-3 vote recommended approval of the applicant's request with the following 17 conditions. Excuse me. These conditions include that porta johns shall be installed at a rate of 1 per 100 people attending the event. Traffic control devices shall be on hand to move vehicles out of the roadway. There should be no parking within VDOT's right of way. The event hours for the Hornet Forest shall be established between 6 and 11 p.m. For the Winter Wonderland between 3 and 8 p.m. Noise generated by the event shall be in compliance with the Greensville County Code. The applicant shall provide an emergency services plan 10 days prior to the event to the county fire official. The applicant must apply again for the VDOT land use permit for the entrance. They also must apply for the VDOT special event permit. If food will be served, all vendors must obtain a special events permit from the health department. Adequate trash recycling shall be installed upon the property. Directional lighting should be installed in the parking area, and the property lines must be identified so that people will not wander off of the applicant's property to adjacent properties. If you have any specific questions, I'll try to address them at this time.
Any questions on Mr. Pope?
My concern always is the same concern I've always had. I don't see it as safety with my concern, but all the stuff we talked about, coming down the hill, the road, people coming out, everything else, I just don't see how we provide the safety that we provide.
Is there a sign-up sheet in one of what city?
One person is signed up, Jessica Wright.
Good evening, my name is Jessica Wright, this is my sister Lisa Wright, and thank you for the opportunity to speak on this, application. On August 7th, we sent a letter, emailed it to Lynn Pope, regarding this application. I did not hear that mentioned, so I hope it was shared with you all as well as the planning commission. Also, it included pictures, of the area, for the event. We think this is a good idea, but we have the following concerns. Safety, will security be on location during the event to help prevent and deter incidents? There must be crowd control. The road conditions, which is curves and the lighting, pose a traffic safety risk. There must be traffic control. Parking, currently there isn't any designated parking in the proposed area. Trespassing. Currently, there aren't any visible barriers to separate our property from the applicant's property. We do not want anyone trespassing on our property. Application conditions, the planning commission, as he said, there were 17 conditions that had to be met. So we want to know, have they been met, or will they be verified once they're met? Will they be verified by the planning commission? Will they be verified by you all? Who verifies that? And then lastly, as I stated, we think this is a good idea, but there must be a more safer place to have it. Perhaps she could consider the Ruerton Club, the Turner Family Building, or the HMR Foundation Building, which is in Milestown, or perhaps even Tucker's Pond. I'm sure these venues would be happy to have her, but there has to be some type of safety controls. Thank you.
No one else has signed up.
No one has to sign up.
That we need a motion to return to regular session.
So
Second. Motion's been made and properly second. All those in favor signify by roll call vote.
Ms. Astra?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Kane?
Aye.
Chair Conwell?
Aye. Next is action resulting from the public hearing on SB 5/2022.
after listening to what was said here tonight and reading all of the documents that we got in our binders, is there a way that we can table this until some of us will have the opportunity to go out and actually view the venue with the Wolf family to actually, because that's one of my concerns, the safety. I grew up on Taylorsville Road. I've driven this road every week for all of my life. And I know exactly where it is, and I have some concerns too. And we can, kind of get together and actually walk the project and actually see before we make our final decision.
I would say this, one thing we know, is there's no way you can guarantee somebody about trespassing. This is really important. You're gonna bring people in, and when you bring those people down, there's no way you can control it. You don't control people, don't care where you're going, and then the highway, from the safety standpoint, that I'm told, I don't see how we can provide that kind of safety that we can provide that, I don't see how we can do that. And then the event that we're looking at is gonna bring the type of people it's gonna bring down there. And they're gonna be over everybody's property. Not only do you have family members probably, I also have family members probably too. I don't see how they can prevent that from happening. You don't control the crowd. The only thing you can do is deal with a situation that can happen. I've been in this country long enough to know you don't usually stop a situation. You only can come in and investigate it after it's already happened. And safety is gonna be my greatest concern.
So if the wish is to table it.
Yeah, I would like to go look because, it would behoove us to go look first. I mean, because this is something that our community really could benefit from. And it's something that is needed. So I would like for us to take the time to go and actually look
Sure.
and see.
So you'll make a motion to table.
Yes.
Second.
I second it.
Motion's been made and properly seconded to table this. All those in favor signify by roll call vote.
Ms. Astrop,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Kane,
No,
Chair Conwell.
Aye. Next are items with appointments. Road matters report, Mr. Jerry Key, and Jennifer Crawford, transportation.
I got some additional updates other than the ones that I sent for your agendas. The I-95 mowing, I know that's a concern for the board, the litter and mowing. They have started the last mowing on I-95. So we should see them out there cleaning up here shortly, I hope. Also, we're gonna be doing some sign maintenance out there and also some trimming back for site distance on signs, because I know that was one of the concerns. So we met with the Richmond District Contract Group that managed that, and they assured us they're gonna take care of some of that stuff. So we have a monthly meeting with them to discuss it. So, currently, we are working on our last mowing of the season with our internal staff, but also the contractor started last week. They came in for the primary rights, and they are in the process of doing the mowing on that now. I noticed that 58 was done today, and also a litter is included in that when they mow.
That was a question I was gonna ask you, I don't interrupt you. Normally they pick up the trash before they move.
Yeah.
Today they put the slow Lake Road from the port to there, they didn't pick up anything, they just put the trash from one end.
They just put more trash out there for them to pick up. We're gonna make sure they pick it up.
They made a mess of it.
They're supposed to pick it up.
I know, that's normally what they do when they come through.
I'll talk to my, contract monitor and see if he can get one and get it straight. Also, the I-95 pavement on the northbound lane is complete. We paved from the North Carolina line all the way to Sussex, so that's all new pavement marble.
that was a joke.
Yeah, why is it, John?
I thought they were gonna come back and do something. This is just bumping people. They came right in front of my house. And I said,
Oh, you're talking about 301?
301.
I'm talking about 95.
I'm sorry, okay.
And the pavement on 301 is not a pavement, that's a seal.
Okay.
So all we did on 301 was seal the dry pavement up. So if it was a bump there before, it's gonna be a bump there now.
I thought they did a excellent job on 95, Northbound lane, and they didn't have a lot of traffic delays in doing it at night like they did.
Yeah, the 301 is a latex slurry, which basically is a sealer that we put on dry pavement to dry it out to extend the life. Is what that is. So it extends the life normally about 4 to 5 years before we have to repave it completely. So that's what that is. We also, I have a new superintendent up here. If y'all haven't met him or talked to him, his name is Jonathan Bryant. I told him, I don't want to have any lapse of service that he was given, because Derek did do a good job when he was up here. Derek moved to Stony Creek. So Jonathan is coming up here from Capron. So, I can give it to Mr. Pope, he can get it to you. I don't have it with me, but I can
You
get
did,
it.
I don't know what, you did give it to me, I missed
Okay.
it.
I don't have it with me, but I will make sure everybody gets that. We also have a new residence administrator. He was coming with me to the meeting tonight, but he had an emergency this morning. So, Paul Maddox is the new residence administrator that took Tommy Catlin's position. And he said he's looking forward to meeting everybody, but he had an emergency early this morning, and so he didn't come to work. That's all of the updates I have. I can take any concerns anybody may have.
think it'd be very beneficial if those gentlemen could come with you maybe next time.
Okay.
So that we can put names and faces
Okay.
together, it helps. I do want to take the opportunity to thank you for meeting with me and addressing some concerns that I had. It did an excellent job on what they were doing.
I'm glad to meet anybody that needs.
Let me ask you this, to be a talk, I don't want to bring, just be a talk about it, talking about the speech that is Crescent Road.
Yes, sir. I talked to the guy Thursday of last week, and he told me I'd probably get it this week, but they have finished it. He said when it was originally done, they did the study from the beginning and it had a gap in the middle. That it was a 35, 45, 35. So he said they were looking at making it 35 the whole way, but he was gonna send me the paperwork, but I do not have it.
And I find the elevations in three of them.
Yeah, I haven't got that one yet either. The one you know right in front of the school going through, yeah.
Because it's 55, 35, but it's not.
They are in the process of doing that, but we need to understand that if we change the speed limit on 301, it's gonna change the school's on speed limit also.
What's that?
So if we do the study and it stays 55, technically the school zone is supposed to be 45, it's 35 now. So it's supposed to be 10 miles an hour below the actual posted speed. So they're looking at that also when they look at it. So that's one disadvantage of doing a study. If it comes back and it doesn't reduce the speed, sometimes it up speeds in other areas. So.
Do we have a projected start date for the bridge work at Ectafolia?
I talked to the engineer this afternoon. He said probably they're gonna bid it probably December or January is when they'll bid it, but probably the work won't begin until late March, maybe early April.
How long would it last?
But 3 to 4 months, depending on how much they find when they get in there, because they're gonna replace the whole deck. But with closing the road down and replacing the deck, it's cutting the time in half by about, well, actually, it's more than half, about a third. Because it would take a little bit over 12 months if we did it lane by lane. So
Now, once they do the bridge work, is that gonna include cleaning up like the shrubberies, like when you're getting on and off exit 4? Cause
No,
that looks
just-
really bad.
just bridge is included in this, but I can talk to the contractor that does the mowing and everything about cleaning everything else up.
Yeah, that's a real eyesore. Even when you leave the city limits going into the county on 301, it's like you're in the city limits and the median is nice and pretty, and then as soon as you hit the county line, it looks horrible. There's
Yeah.
trash everywhere, the grass.
Yeah, I can talk to the contractor about cleaning that up, but the bridge people, the only thing they will deal with is the bridge itself.
We gotta work on that.
Y'all have anything else for Mr. Keith? Thank you, Mr. Keith.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda appointment is Ms. Pam Lips, City Treasurer.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Here tonight concerning 2 landfill accounts. You should have a copy of my memo in your board packet. After a recent audit of the landfill accounts, I have determined that there are 2 delinquent accounts for businesses that no longer exist, and so they are now uncollectible. The first account was a local business who ceased operations in 2013 and liquidated all the assets without our knowledge. The second account was a business that was located in Yorktown, Virginia, and all of our efforts to locate this business were unsuccessful. I had a collection company that went and tried to find the business. I called the treasurer in Yorktown, and they said they were trying to find it too, so we were never able to even locate the business. Since these 2 businesses are closed and these accounts are now uncollectible, I'm requesting permission from the board to be able to write all the charges that are associated with these 2 accounts off of the books.
One question will be this.
Okay.
If someone, you cannot collect from somebody, I know when I look back at the video, I see so many people going back in the years and not paying us. They still on books
But you're talking about for landfill or for taxes?
for taxes.
Well, we make every effort to collect, and we have, numerous collection methods. DMV stops, and we just have numerous collection methods. And we use every available method we have to collect.
If you have these 2 people on the book, it's gonna make a problem.
Well, and we've changed, some procedures with the landfill. I did this several years ago. Especially businesses that are out of the state or out of our locality, they have to pay when they bring a load into the landfill. the landfill operator calls our office with a credit card, and they pay for each load by credit card before they're even allowed to dump. So that will, alleviate us from having to try to find these businesses. The ones that are out of the state, we can't really do anything with. The ones that are out of the locality, we have a hard time tracking down. And so we made that change several years ago, so that has really helped with the collections for the landfill for other accounts.
I guess to Mr. Kane's question, though, they're keeping them on the books. These are businesses.
Yeah,
They're no longer in business.
Yeah, they're not even in business anymore, so there's no way for us to even collect them.
Suppose they came back to the county.
Well, I doubt very seriously if they will, because the first business, he's working, for someone else now, and like I said, the second one, we could never even find the business. We tried, numerous ways to find them, and we could never even find the business. So, any other questions?
You answered mine, because my question was gonna be, have we done anything to, get rid of this possibility in the future?
Yeah, we looked at it, and, the best thing we could come up with was to have them prepay, before they were even allowed to dump, at the landfill. So that way, we don't have to try to run these businesses down and try to find them. So,
They don't understand, if they ever came back to the county again, wasn't everybody prepaid for it, right?
mhm. Yeah, we could reinstate the charges at a later date if we needed to. We just need to clean the books up because they're just sitting there and we know at this time there's no way to collect them. So,
So we need a formal motion to approve this.
I move we approve, the request to authorize the write-off of the 2 delinquent landfill accounts.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly second. All those in favor signify by roll call vote.
Ms. Astrop? Aye. Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Kane? Chair Conwell?
Aye.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. Next on our agenda is citizens' comments. Do you have anyone?
Yes, we have 4 persons who have signed up, or actually 5. First is Marva Dunn and McKinley Jordan. And each person has 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is McKenna Jordan, 2850 Sussex Drive. And I hope to deliver for about 3 minutes, first of all, by inviting each one of you and the rest of the general public to the Veterans Day program that we have annually behind the post office, November the 11th, which will be Friday. American Legion Post 151 on behalf of the Commander, Henry Robinson, and myself, the adjutant of the post. And would like you all to just take a peek at that building to we recently moved on Main Street. If that take a part of my 3 minutes, I will be short with the other. We would just like to say that we invite you again to 115 Ruffin Street. We have a report where we have actually gone from temporary current to permanent current in our building by the work of electrician Rose. Mr. Bass has completed the block work for our platform, and we are in the process of ready to pour cement. Mr. Will Harrison has started actually spraying and leveling dirt in the area where we plan to have our out-in and outside venues. We have actually received our tanks from Parker Oil, and everything is working. Our heat unit, air conditioning is in and working properly. And Mr. Hill of Hill Construction has actually completed building 1. And we also, Mr. Bernard Prince right now is working on the water. And it just as soon as the city, when we was ready to have the water turned on, we found out that the city did not have a meter. So as soon as the city put their meter in, we'll actually have water. And we are proud to say that we had our first meeting in that building last Thursday night. So as soon as the water is on, we hope to invite all of you there so you can do a walkthrough with us.
We will also, down on Place Street, and Port Virginia, and I'd like to echo our thanks for the support that you all have given us over the past years, and we sincerely hope you continue to support us. We know it has been a long process, but like the turtle, slow but sure. And we are so excited that we were able to have our first meeting. Once the city inspector gives us the go-ahead, we do plan to have an open house to invite everybody, but we have accomplished that. And we're just delighted. And anytime any of you here or in the audience would like to come to look at the building, let myself or Mr. Jordan know, and we'd be more than happy to give you a tour. Thanks again.
Are there any questions?
Any questions or comments or concerns?
Good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all again for your support.
Thank you.
Next is Shanetta Beck.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Shanita Beck, resident of Greensville County. Thank you all for letting me speak. I had my second annual Pinktober brunch, October 16th. It was a very successful event. Thank you for all the community support. I'd like to bring to your attention some troubles I had on getting the golden leaf for the event. My event was scheduled to be held at the Greensville County High School cafeteria, but with the amount of community support and so many people wanting to attend the breast cancer event, we outgrew the space. I reached out to the Golden Leaf on September 19th at approximately 2:50 p.m. I spoke with Ms. Debbie via phone about the rental. At 3 p.m., she sent me an email about the rules, the policy, the procedures. At 3:24, I emailed a letter to the board, emailed her a letter requesting to approve them. I had pre-sale tickets. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous, and I'm a little heartburned about this as well. At 4:15, she told me she would be at the building until 5 that day. At 4:15, I sent my stepsister to the building with my credit card to pay for the building, which she told me $650, the deposit of $500, and the paperwork, the application and everything. When she got to the building, Ms. Debbie wasn't there. I had just spoke to her at 2:53 and 3:24. At 4:15, I had to call around. I ended up calling over to this building and while my sister was here, she had somebody track her down, and she went back. They went and met at her building. I was on speakerphone. She took the paperwork, but not the money. September 20th, I came down here. I took off from work, came down.
1 minute.
I came down here, September 20th at 8 a.m. I was put out of the Golden Leaf building. September 21st, I paid $650. September 26th, I purchased the insurance. The same day, she asked me for a copy of the insurance, which I provided. September 27th, I was contacted again for more insurance. September 12th, more insurance. 10/12, more insurance. I don't know if this is common practice, but I feel like as a resident, I'm sorry I can't get this in 3 minutes. The inconvenience was more than 3 minutes. It's gonna take more than 3 minutes to get it back. So I don't know if this is common practice, but it's a total inconvenience. I was heartbroken. I was embarrassed in front of my peers being put out of the government building. And I look at her as being one of our community leaders that we have to go through to get that building. So if I can have another day, another 3 minutes, if I need to continue, I'd like to have that.
We thank you, and your comments will be investigated into, okay? I want you to know that.
Thank you. I have documentation of everything.
Next, Miller Peak Stick.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, all the members of the board, my good friend, county administrator. It's good to be here before you. I have a couple of things I want to share with you, but first I want to thank you for that resolution on the veterans, but I don't know why the Army always gave the Marines the worst equipment that they ever had. You know, we had to read all of it, Mr. Chairman, and they walk around and talk about how good they are, so, but I appreciate their service as well. Just quickly, I want to do this in two stages. Number one, I want to thank the board and the administration for your support. Group of us bought the building in Jarrett, the Jefferson Elementary School, and we are serving a lot of the members of the Greensville County citizenry. We did backpacks to kids. We'll be delivering meals, Thanksgiving meals, to your citizens. We did a lot of flu shots for your citizens. So we just think that Greensville County and Jarrett, we share just a commonality, and we want to continue to have that kind of relationship with you. So again, I want to, on behalf of our board, to thank you. My other task is that I'm currently helping with the 4-H Center down in Wakefield, Virginia. The center was built by the Union Camp family and Senator Elmer Gray, and it's a residential facility for people who want to camp, but they want to have wedding anniversaries and things of that sort. You can have them there. I was asked to temporarily take over, but they have hired a dynamic young lady from Florida. She specializes in fisheries. She's never met a fish she didn't like. And she wants to come up and introduce herself to you and tell you why she thinks she would like to continue the partnership. And as she makes her way to the dais, I was gonna sing a Temptation song. I didn't know I can't out here. But I'd like to bring her up to the podium and just introduce herself to you. And if it's permissible, I'd like to pass out a little gift to you, if that's okay.
Is it under $50?
It is under $50.
Probably almost under 50
Dr. Kathy Wyndon, I didn't even introduce her, I'm
Well,
sorry.
I know, but I
Doc,
don't-
come on up.
What's her name?
Kathy.
Kathy
Gilliam.
Wyndon.
Okay.
Hi, Jim.
Yeah.
You good.
All right, hello, the peanut gallery. So, good evening, and thank you for allowing me to introduce myself, Chairman and members of the Board of Supervisors and Madam County Administrator. So I am here after 27 years in Florida, working for the Florida Fish and Wildlife. I've given up my Tampa Bay palm trees, sunny blue waters, and I have moved to the pine forest of Wakefield. But I'm actually very excited to be the new center director at the Airfield Southeastern 4-H Educational Center. And Greensville County is one of the counties that I serve. So I wanted to thank you for the support that you have given to our 4-H agent, Hannah Parker, who is not able to be here this evening, but we did invite her over. And for continuing to keep us on your dockets when it comes to supporting the 4-H Center as well. So I have 3 goals while I'm here as the new center director. And one of those is to let you all know, and everybody in the room, that we do continue, we are open for business. We have our conference and retreat centers open if you need it. I have firmly believed that our 208 acres of land and 100 acres of a beautiful lake have everything that you could need for an event. Secondly, coming out of this pandemic and trying to move forward, my goal is to try and fill our bunks for the week of camp that Greensville County is there. So if you can help me wrestle up some kids, that would be great. But then third, moving forward, being a conservation-minded biologist at the core of my very being, and the beautiful natural resources that the Airfield Center has to offer, one of my goals is to really reach out to try and create this beautiful outdoor education space. I say the word conservation to a lot of people. If you preserve something, you've pickled it, you've put it on a shelf, you look at it, you admire it, but you may not interact with it. Whereas the word conservation implies that interaction. I want to be able to teach our youth and the adult visitors who come out with their families to respect the environment around them, help them create some responsibility among themselves to help take care of those natural resources, and then be able to interact with it in that responsible way and appreciating its natural beauty so that it will be a sustainable place for generations to come. And I'm really excited to be that new leader to rejuvenate it. And then just as you were offered before, if any of you are in the area, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to show you a tour and show you the new center if you haven't been there for a while. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the generous gift as well.
That concludes citizen comments.
We have no old business. The first item on new business is broadband infrastructure grant agreement.
Good evening. In an effort to achieve universal broadband coverage throughout Greensville County, the county staff partnered with Iowa Broadband, Charter Communications, and Verizon to develop and submit 3 applications to the Department of Housing and Community Development seeking FY23 body grant funds. Empower and Charter have previously been awarded rural development opportunity funds to construct broadband infrastructure in several areas of the county. So as I stated, we were trying to apply for these additional body funds so we would have universal coverage throughout the county. During the body application process, Charter Communications suggested the county enter a direct partnership with Charter versus applying for the grant funds with Charter. That way, they could, while they will build in their rural development opportunity funded areas, they could pick up the households adjacent to their RDOF areas, which results in 101 additional houses. With the partnership, we do not have to wait to find out whether or not we win a grant in a very competitive year. It's only 49 million statewide. So our 3 grants have been competing against each other. So that's one benefit, if we enter this partnership. This will get built out regardless, and we don't have to wait for grant funds, plus it won't be competing with the other 2 grants we submitted. Another benefit, once we enter this agreement, it'll be a 2-year build out. They'll complete the installation of all the infrastructure and connections to houses in the southern end of the county. If we go through the grant process, we won't even know to December or January whether or not we're successful, and then it's a 3-year build out if we were successful. So by entering this partnership, we're guaranteed that we'll build it out within 2 years. What we were going to do with the 3 applications, we will divide the county match based on how many structures each service provider serves, and divide the money that way. So Charter suggested if we would give them what we were going to match their application for now, they will go ahead and build it, they go through the grant process. So the county has 1.19 million in American Rescue Plan dollars set aside for broadband. And Charter's project will require $249,350 as the county match. Charter submitted the attached MOU. It has been reviewed by the county attorney, and the county attorneys have blessed it. Staff's asking for your permission for asking you to approve the MOU and authorize the staff to sign on behalf of the county.
You know my question, right?
It's not in your house. This is in the southern.
I'm serious. So
What?
when is something gonna happen on the north side? I live on the north side.
Well, the application with Verizon is centered around Emporia, because they have a lot of infrastructure in Emporia. And then the application with Empower Broadband will be coming from the west, from the Mecklenburg area, and then the northern part of the county. We will know the fate of those applications the end of December or early January. But Empower did get some of this rural development opportunity funds to build some areas in the northern end of the county. The body applications, we are picking up those houses that weren't included in the federal funding.
And typically, the service providers, they start to build out where they currently have infrastructure. So that's typically where they would start, where they have existing infrastructure, and they build out from there.
What kind
But the
of,
goal is to have broadband
Universal.
throughout the entire county, and it's gonna take a few years for that to happen, but that's the primary goal.
We was thinking timetable 2 to 3 years, and I know we have some setbacks.
correct.
Are we looking at any timetable for the north side?
Well, it depends on if we are awarded the grant. If we're awarded the grant, it's a 3-year build, they have to build it within 3 years. Just the charter one we're talking about now, if we didn't enter this partnership, and they applied for body funds for these 101 houses. Give me just a second to find it. They would have to install 34 miles of fiber at a cost of $1.4 million. That comes out to $14,266 per house, because this body money can't be used where they got this rural money. Without going through this grant and giving them our match up front, they can lower the or it's $14,266 per house. They can lower that cost to $4,037 per house, per pass, we call it a pass. So this is a win-win for the county.
It makes it
It's a
more
win-win.
attractive for DHCD to strongly consider us for funding. But again, the build out is 3
And
years.
this year it's less money. It's only, let's say, 49 million statewide. That's not a lot of money for Broadway. Last year it was, what, 399 million? Don't quote me on that, but it was a lot. So by entering this is getting built. As soon as we email this to them Monday, they're already working coming up from Carolina. They got funds in Carolina, these rural funds, southern part of Greensville County, and then they're the sole provider in Southampton, Surrey, and those counties. They got to come through Greensville to serve, to build the infrastructure, to serve their whole rural development funded areas.
Plus, we're growing on the south side.
I understand.
It's coming, everybody wants it yesterday.
We're growing in the county.
Everybody
There's a
wants it
process.
Is every house in the county gonna have that opportunity?
That is our
Some
goal.
houses is kind of off the grid and some like.
This will be every house. What we did, this was not a fun process. When we were originally doing 3 applications, like, remember what I said, DHCD won't give you funds if you got federal funds or other federal, several pots of federal money. So we had to take all the federal funded areas and highlight them on the map. And we had to take the areas that Charter wanted to pursue, Verizon wanted to pursue, and Empower wanted to pursue. Then we had to overlap, because you have overlaps, they will compete for areas. We had to identify every house in Greensville County that wasn't included in the federal funding, so we could make sure they weren't left out when we applied for the spotty state fund. And I had to make the decision. You had to play hardball with the internet service provider sometimes because they compete for areas. I told them I didn't want any challenges between the 3 in Greensville County, challenge another application. Our goal here at the county was to get complete coverage in Greensville County. So everything we submitted without these 2 applications of this MOU, if everything gets approved, will be complete coverage to every door, every business in Greensville County.
Which means that every citizen will have the opportunity.
And I'm talking
To
a
have
gig
broadband.
of like download super fast.
Any more questions for Mr. Pope? If not, is there a motion to enter into this memorandum of understanding?
I move that we enter into the MOU with Comcast.
Second. Motion's been made and properly seconded. All those in favor signify by roll call vote.
Ms. Astra, aye. Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Kenny. Aye. Chair Brown,
Aye. Next is resolution 23-28, Purdy Solar LLC, 2232, termination by the planning commission.
All right, at their August the 9th board meeting, the Greensville County Planning Commission heard the Berkeley staff report concerning the Purdy Solar LLC's 2232 application. On a 6-1 vote, the Planning Commission determined that the proposed Purdy Solar project was not in substantial accord with the county's comp plan because of the following reasons. First reason, the comp plan indicates that solar facilities may be acceptable if not detrimental to surrounding areas. The proposed solar energy facility is the 6th, the second smallest proposed. However, it increases the concentration of land approved for solar in the area to a point that it does not preserve the rural character of the county. The second reason, the solar facility would occupy 569 acres of agricultural and forest land with 339 acres of solar panels. State code recommends, well, states that the board does not have to take any action. Typically, we adopt a resolution to either accept the planning commission's determination or overturn it. So in your agenda packs are two resolutions. One, if you wish to accept the planning commission's determination that the project was not in substantial accord, and the other resolution is there in case you wish to overturn their recommendation or their determination.
Any questions for Mr. Cook? If not, is there a motion?
I move that we accept the planning commission's recommendation on this project.
I second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. All those in favor signify by roll call vote.
Ms. Astrop,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Kane,
Aye.
Chair Conwell.
Aye. Next is boards and commission appointment for the improvement cessation athletic appointment for a term of 4 years, and it looks like I'm that person in the seat.
Yes.
And I move that we keep that person on.
I second that motion.
The motion has been made and properly seconded. All those in favor signify by roll call vote.
Ms. Astrop, Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Kane, Chair Conwell.
Yes, I have no choice but to.
I move adjourn.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify by roll call vote.
Ms. Astrop,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Kane, Chair Conwell.
Can I get a motion that we go in session for water and sewer?
I move for second. So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that we go in the water and sewer. All those in favor of the roll call vote?
Ms. Astrop,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Kane, Chair Conwell.
At this time, can I get a motion for the approval of the agenda?
We approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve agenda as submitted. All those in favor of the roll call vote?
Ms. Astrop,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Kane, Chair Conwell.
At this time, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda to include the approval of minutes and warrants?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve consent agenda. All those in favor of the roll call vote? Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Conwell?
Aye.
Chair Astrop? We have no public hearing tonight. We have no, items of appointment. There is no old business, new business, resolution WS 23-01.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Attachment C in your agenda packet is a resolution of the governing body. This is regarding a pre-development planning grant that staff is recommending you authorize us to apply for rural development. When we were developing or recommending the FY 23 operating budget to you, we pointed out to you that we had an increased chemical cost of chlorine of 400%. And we told you that we would seek grant funding to try to investigate alternative ways to reduce our operating costs, or our chemical costs. We did budget $30,000 in the budget to do a preliminary engineering report for Timmons to be able to investigate this and make a recommendation. Staff has contacted Rural Development. They preliminarily told us we should qualify for this pre-development planning group. It is for $30,000 or 75% of the eligible project cost, the lesser of the two, which in this case, our project cost is $37,500. $28,125 will be funded through rural development, $9,375 through the Water and Sewer Authority if the grant is approved. So back to the resolution. It is hereby resolved that in order to facilitate obtaining financial assistance from the United States of America, United States Department of Agricultural Rural Development, in the development of preliminary engineering
and environmental reports for the potential improvements at the Three Creek and Falling Run wastewater treatment plants. The governing body does hereby adopt and abide by all covenants contained in the agreements, documents, and forms required by the government to be executed. Be it further resolved that the Director of the Greensville County Water and Sewer Authority is authorized to execute on behalf of the Board of Directors the above referenced agreements, documents, and forms, and to execute such other documents, including but not limited to debt instruments, security instruments, and/or grant agreements that may be required to obtain said financial assistance. Staff recommends that you adopt resolution WS 23-01.
I move to approve resolution WS 23-01.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve resolution 23-01. All those in favor with a roll call vote?
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. King? Mr. Conwell? Chair Astro?
Aye. Now, resolution WS 23-02.
Right, that's attachment D in your agenda packet. This is a resolution, a reimbursement resolution. This is regarding the water treatment plant expansion project. We are getting to a phase in the project where we need to begin property acquisition. So the Water and Sewer Authority is going to begin to expend funds, but we don't want to incur the debt yet, right? So we need this, our financial advisors and our bond counsel recommend that we adopt this resolution to allow the Water and Sewer Authority to be reimbursed later if this project does move forward, and if that reimbursement is needed. If we don't need the reimbursement and we can borrow less money, then I'm sure that Dr. Woolridge will tell me that that's what we need to do. So the plans for the project have proceeded, and it is expected that the authority will cause funds under its control to be advanced to pay expenditures related to the project. That's the Jarrett Water Treatment Plant Expansion Project. Prior to such time as the authority may be prepared to issue one or more of a series of tax-exempt bonds, the authority intends for a portion of the proceeds of the future issue of bonds to be available for reimbursement of the authority for the payment of expenditures. Section 1.502 of the Treasury Regulations provides that the allocated proceeds of bonds to reimburse expenditures paid in advance of the issue of bonds. The authority must declare its intent, its official intent, to allocate proceeds of the bonds to reimburse the expenditures. I realized when I was reviewing this that I made a mistake, all right, on this resolution. It was a typing error. I did make it. You have new resolutions, I believe that you asked. I left a zero off on the amount here, so. The authority intends to issue bonds in the future period in the amount expected of maximum principal amount of $19,488,000 to finance the project and allocate a portion of those proceeds, therefore, to the reimbursement of the expenditures. Each expenditure is to be reimbursed with bond proceeds. It was or shall be either a type of properly chargeable to capital accounts under the general federal income tax principles, or B, a cost of issuance with respect to the bonds. The authority intends to make reimbursement allocations, which is a written allocation by the authority that evidences the authority's use of proceeds of the bonds to reimburse expenditures. The authority intends that the adoption of this resolution shall confirm the official intent of the authority within the meaning of the Treasury Regulations. That's not me reading the entire resolution to you, but I read you the highlights, okay? So at this time, staff recommends that you adopt resolution 22-02, if there are no questions.
I move that we approve, resolution WS-23-02. Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve resolution WS 23-02.
I'm sorry, it's 22
It's 22.
22
The one on our desk.
23-2.
23.
Okay, all right, 23, yes.
The one
The one, the new one is
23 and the 22 on.
All right,
So it's 23?
it is 20.
Okay.
FY 23, yes.
Second correction.
All right, so it has been moved and seconded that we approve resolution WS 23-02. All those in favor with the roll call vote.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Kane? Mr. Conwell? Chair Ashcraft?
Aye. With there being no other business on the agenda, can I now get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor with the roll call vote.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Kane? Mr. Conwell? Chair Ashcraft?
Aye.